Welcome to the first of many Zeta Team creations. Hayes here, and today we're going to do a base tour and a short introductory to our new channel. Before that, I would like to thank everyone who contributed in this run. Wab, Nick, Sense, Clover, and especially Flubby who let us abuse the server for a month. Please note beforehand that we did go a bit overboard on some of the infrastructure, so we did a little more than what's necessary to complete the pack, but we hate waiting, so no regrets. Now let's get into the tour. Starting off with the southern side of our base, we have 64 parallel electric blast furnaces with a heat capacity twice as hot as the sun for some reason, and 3 multi-smelters which function both as an alloy smelter and a vanilla furnace. There are 16 freezers here too, but they've been decommissioned for upgraded versions. Our AE2 system, centralized just beside them, consists of over 100 subnets, 50 crafting CPUs, a crafting matrix, plenty of requesters, and a storage system holding billions of items and buckets of fluid. Not much else is still in use on this side of the base, so I'll just show off a couple things that are still a bit relevant. We have a wood farm capable of producing over 38,000 logs per minute, mechanical sieves that have been left unchecked for who knows how long, and our very first clean room that I don't miss waiting on the parts for early game. Moving a bit more towards the center of the base, we have Nick's beautiful mystical agriculture setup. The subnet it's on keeps everything supplied with the right chemicals to produce all kinds of resources, notably nether stars, platinum, and different airs that get distilled into pure gases. On the note of air distilling, we have 16 freezers to liquefy the air and 16 distilleries to break it down into usable gases. I'm very proud of the design we used for these, and I'm glad they lasted us as long as they did in the run. Now one thing I cannot skip over is Platinum Line. Ours consisted of a hulking 57 multi-block machines, 36 of which were chemical reactors. It got decommissioned pretty quickly once we got chemical plants and ZPM to conserve TPS, but it will always hold a place in our hearts as baby's first complicated chemical processing line. Next on our tour is glorious petrochemistry, whom everybody loves. The first half of ours is a bulky pyrolyse line. Our setup burns wood with 16 ovens into products that get refined with 16 distillation towers into different usable chemicals like phenol and ethanol. And the other half of our petrochem is oil refining, which starts with 4 fluid drilling rigs that pump oil into a first set of 16 distilleries to break the oil down. The products, naphtha, refinery gas, heavy fuel, and light fuel, which mostly get steam cracked, then ran through another set of 16 distillation towers, get broke down into more various usable chemicals. Another personal favorite of mine is the large assemblers. Each of the 3 buildings is made up of 8 multi-blocks and have entrances on the back to do maintenance or troubleshoot AE2. And the last point of interest in this area is the chemical reactor spam for polybenzimidazole and polycarbonated biphenyl coolant. Now, for our first true masterpiece of this video, I present the ABS Fortress. For those that don't know, ABS stands for Alloy Blast Smelter, a multi-block that functions as a mixer and electric blast furnace together with slightly better times and a couple different recipes. Our ABS Fortress is made up of 128 of these machines running parallel and has an additional 32 vacuum freezers on the inside of it, complete with furnishing, an AE2 hub, and llamas. Moving on to our power generation, we decided to stick to plasma for the late game. Our system generates just over 2 billion units of Fe per tick, or 60-ish amps of UEV, which all gets stored in a substation with over 9 quintillion EU storage, enough storage to last a literal lifetime to fill up. In the same area is our next most important part of infrastructure, our auto-crafting multi-blocks. They aren't too exciting to look at, but where would we be without them? For our next masterpiece, we have the Assembly Data Complex. It honestly didn't take as long as it sounds like it would, but it's 36 assembly lines, all parallel, being provided data for advanced recipes from 7 data banks. 1 bank to store the data, and the other 6 solely for dispersing that data. The research station inside the complex is receiving 180 computation work units per tick from the 5 high-power computation arrays outside, all connected to a network switch and cabled under the base for aesthetic purposes. Also just outside of the assembly complex is our Naquata line chemical plants. You need a lot of the products that come from these, so we decided to go with 8 of them. Another big milestone was our sterile clean room, since the first one wasn't clean enough, I guess. It's used primarily for cultivating bacteria to make sentient biocircuits, unlocking the last tier of circuits in the pack currently. This had to get expanded to a second clean room after the classic Stargate to have more room for multi-block. The final thing of any importance before we move on to the late game and gate prep multi-blocks is our ore processing setup. To be honest, I'm not sure how it all works because I didn't set it up myself, but Wab made a fairly straightforward way of requesting products out of it. All I can tell you is that it works well. Now, it's time for the big dogs, rotary hearth furnaces, the coolest looking multi-block that also serves as a late game upgraded version of the electric blast furnaces. Probably weren't spammed as hard as I think we should have, but we built a solid 26 of them. Next time around, I'll probably go for 32 or more. To accompany these, we have 8 bulk blast chillers to cool the ingots at a fast enough pace. They're pretty much the same as the rotary hearth furnaces in the sense that they're just an upgraded version of the vacuum freezers. And for everyone's favorite, most essential part of any Star Technology run, Mark III fusion reactor spam. Harnessing the power of goated infrastructure, we were able to pump out over 168 of these deadly donuts in total at a rate of 1 Mark III fusion per minute. If you're not aware, the reason for this insanity is because of the stupid high neutronium costs of both the classic gate and ancient gate. For reference, 1 Mark III fusion on Neutronium, which takes a minimum of 2 other Mark III reactors to keep running, produces about 23 buckets of Neutronium per hour, just enough to make the 7,000 or so buckets required for the classic Stargate in about a week and a half of AFK. Clearly, that isn't ideal, so here we are. So then what? Hundreds of multi-block machines for what purpose? To escape this void realm, of course, and to do that, we need these inconsistently designed gate preparation multi-blocks. A few of these are genuinely some of the coolest designs I've seen for a multi-block, and then some of these look like they're made out of extra Legos by toddlers. Fingers crossed these get a design overhaul in the future. After spending more resources on superconductors to build those multi-blocks than you thought possible, it's time to use them to get the classic Stargate and be on your way home. Except wait, you got scammed, and really it's just a big desert called Abidos with new processing lines and even more expensive recipes. Yay, Greg! To be honest, the next part of this pack is still a work in progress and felt a bit dry, but it should be way more balanced here in a few weeks when the Zeta version of the pack is released. I don't regret spending time on the post-classic gate material personally just because I enjoy this pack, but if you're playing the Epsilon version, the classic gate feels a lot more satisfying than the ancient gate does just from personal experience. Now that I'm done yapping about it, let's actually look at what content we got out of post-gate this time around. To start off, Abidos brings new lines of resource generation for ancient gate crafting ingredients by means of magma processing and new ores. This begins with the same fluid drills we use for oil in the void, except in Abidos, fluid drilling now yields acrerium, zapolite-rich magma, and titanite-rich magma. In true American fashion, we promptly invaded this land, disfigured its historical landmarks, misplaced the local population, and drained it of its natural resources. But in our defense, we thought they had weapons of mass destruction. Anyways, after obtaining said natural resources, it was time to process the magmas into usable materials like zirconium and zirconium, the main ingredients in the UHV machine parts. The processing lines for these aren't nearly as bad as they look in the quest book, and to be honest, I still think Platinum Line is more complicated. The acrerium from drilling has an interesting new processing line with unique multi-blocks that's a bit different though. It wasn't difficult either, but this was actually a fun one to set up for the first time and the best part of the post-gate experience for me in this update, just because it introduced some new multis and recipes that aren't like anything else in this pack. A little bird told me it's getting a solid reworking by the next update, so I'm excited to see what's coming soon for sure. Also, yes, it's pronounced acrerium, I checked. Other than just getting new processing lines, we also got a pretty cool looking exotic air siphoning multi-block, which pretty much just does what all your air distillation does, but better, and with less lag. And finally, we have the 2 ancient gate prep multi-blocks. The first one, which I call interdimensional boombox or goth purse, just makes some more advanced rooms for gate parts. The other one, which I call Hell Circus or Monumental Waste of Time, has only 1 craft at the moment. The reason I'm so salty with it is because not only does it have 1 craft, but the blocks for it took 6 hours to make, longer than anything else on the base besides gate parts. With that, I am unfortunately out of base to show off, so this concludes the base tour, but I'm going to finish the video off with a quick introduction to the channel. As I said in the beginning, my name is Hayes, and I just started this channel with 2 friends I play Star Technology with, Wab and Nick. Just about myself, I'm, a regular dude playing Greg, doing my thing. I've made it to UHV twice on this pack, but all 3 of us like it enough that we're ready to restart and play more right when the next update comes out. As for goals with the channel, there aren't any in particular besides to serve as a more informational channel on this mod pack since there seems to be an apparent lack thereof. I've been planning an AE2 series specifically on how it pertains to this pack for those of you on Discord who have suggested it, and I'll get to work on that soon. Our next playthrough of the pack, which will be a special challenge version, is planned for 2 to 3 weeks from now, and we do plan on recording that. Other than that, I believe Nick also wants to stream and do a Q&A sort of thing on Star Technology. I really just enjoy this pack, and I want other people to enjoy it, so hopefully they end up teaching some of you a thing or two. Hope to see you on the next one. Ciao.